Hi. I'm SBF, founder and CEO of FTX. My accidental theft of our customers' life savings to create a giant over-leveraged Ponzi slush fund for myself is a tragedy that should have never happened. And to all those affected, I want to say I am deeply sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Sorry. Oops. Sorry. I'm sorry. Sorry. I'm deeply sorry. Sorry.
Hey everybody, welcome over to my channel for Truth Tuesday with me and the lovely and smart Satoshi Sean. No, love you.
You know what that reminds me of?
What?
And I forgot to share it, but Gary Gensler wrote Merry Christmas wishes or something, and the comments on it are hilarious.
Yeah, it's so
Everybody's
weird.
like,
Anyone you
go
follow,
die. You know, you were
anyone that you
protecting
follow,
SBF.
reading their comments it's like the haters are they're faster than people that actually like them.
Yeah,
You know,
they're epic though. They're like every XRP person, you know, where were you for the investments in the secondary market, token holders for XRP, you know, the people you're sworn to protect, blah, blah, blah. Oh my gosh, it was epic.
Yeah. Well, I guess there's also, you could say that you could say that they're bots because they're so quick to jump on there, but a lot of times, man, they're too creative.
I had someone call me a bot in a chat yesterday or day before. I was on Kabbalah Guru's thing, and he was, because he's Jewish, and so I had all these questions for him, and then he's like, I think that's a bot. Just ignore it.
It's a bot.
I was like, no, I have genuine questions.
Well, that is one thing that I've noticed. It's easy to kind of dismiss people and dismiss dissent. Oh, it's just bots. You know, oh, that's just bots. It's like, no, I'm pretty sure that a lot of people hate you and what you did, and it's a way to it's just another way to cope and that you can like rationalize stuff to yourself. You know, those are just bots.
Turn the noise off.
The Disney's like, they don't care that we're partnering up with Balenciaga. It's just bots. Just bots from those right wing nut jobs.
Mm-hmm.
You know, yeah.
Crazy.
Okay, so what are we gonna go over now?
Hey, so I caught something on Twitter. So I don't know if
Can the doctor help you with that? Can you get a shot?
It's not contagious. Well, hopefully it is contagious. Hester Pierce, who is, I don't know her official position in the SEC, but she's
crypto mom.
Okay, crypto mom. She had she posted and said, hey, I'm going to be in Durham January 20th. If anyone would like to talk to me about what's going on in the SEC, please email me. And she put her email.
I love her.
And so we sent her an email. And if she responds, I'm going.
Yeah, that's amazing. She's I've felt a certain way since I first learned of this as a young fellow. Because, you know, like I always tell you, I always look at things and try to think of him as like an alien or to explain him to like an alien. And they usually, if they don't make sense, or it's like, you know, Sherlock Holmes said, if you take away everything, whatever's left, that's the truth. And when I learned about the accredited investor, it's the most, we're talking about the caste system over the first part of the show. That was I think one of the first things that got through in our country that was like leading us down the caste system, because it's like, hey, everyone here doesn't have the same opportunity, which was the damn thing we founded the country on, that we had the pursuit of happiness. And I don't understand. And I talk to any lawyer that I ever meet, and I ask them this, and They all get lawyery. Even Greg got lawyery.
Well, did I share with you that Nick Morgan from ICANN is fighting that? They filed something. Gosh, I thought I shared that in our
that's what I've always said, and that's the question I pose to
WBRT
all
thing.
lawyers. All lawyers. I say, how is this not unconstitutional?
I agree
Why
with you.
can't, and why hasn't anyone done a class action lawsuit from just Americans in general? Because if you're, I remember, I mean, if you're a cab driver and you work 5 days a week, 10-hour days, if you take on an extra shift, work an extra day, now you're working 60 hours instead of 50. At the end of the month, you have an extra $500 because you want to put money into something that you think is going to make a lot of money, that you've done your research on. You want to invest. Who cares? You did an extra bunch of work.
Mm-hmm.
You did an extra 40 hours of work to get this money. And then someone says, oh, no, you can't invest your money. You can't take part in this. And let's say it 10x's. And you weren't allowed to take part in that. You couldn't pursue that happiness. You didn't get that opportunity because you weren't in that class of people. It's just money. It's not like someone's investment track record or their wins. It's just how much money someone has. How is that not a class system? How is that not meant to push out the regular people and to keep the poor poorer by not giving them access to those investments? And that's the thing, man. If you fail, dude. It's buyer beware. Do your research. If it was a scam, there's laws in place for that. If someone scammed you and gave you bad information and they just took your money, that's against the law. There's tons of regulation for that. But if you just want to put your money into something, then accredited investor it should be eradicated. And Hester Pierce is the only person in government that I've ever heard admit that. She said, to be honest, I mean, this is just discrimination. She's saying that you can't have this opportunity that everyone else does just because you don't have the same amount of money. It doesn't have anything to do with your intelligence. It doesn't have anything to do. You just can't because you don't have that amount of money. She's the only person that I've ever heard in government that has admitted that and has said that. And so that was like, it's such a huge thing for her. I really do like Hester Pierce a lot.
Well, I think that she's been really quiet. And that's where I wonder, when they get quiet, I want to have a little grace for them and hope that they're working behind the scenes because I have heard a lot of good things about her. I'm trying to find this. I know I shared it.
I think she was the loudest when she had the most freedom, when Trump was in office, just to say it.
Okay.
When certain other forces gained that political power, the quieter she got. So it's I especially we can look at how things are now. And if she's still at the SEC, she was here the whole time FTX was going on, and she is not crypto illiterate. She knew a lot about crypto. So did she know what was going on, and she just really slinked away because she can see she doesn't have any power. She can see the powers that be. Okay, I'll give her. Let's give her that. Let's make this scenario where she's totally, wonderful. She saw the control that those entities had. She saw that her side, the good guys were not winning and did not have any strength, and she slinked away and just watched it happen. And look what happened. But she hasn't come out as no one's pointing fingers at her. She wasn't a part of it. So her name hasn't come up, which maybe to me means she was smart and just kind of
just stay out of the way.
Gave them the rope, let everyone hang themselves, and hopefully she can come in and take over.
I'm trying to find it. I swear oh, maybe that's where it was. Hold on. I can.
You can play that commercial now, though.
Oh, okay.
That would be good. So this is about the Canadian Veterans Affairs, how the people are complaining now because when they call up for anything, the people they're trying to push them into suicide because it's much cheaper to, kill someone and take care of them.
Terrible.
Affairs Canada, our top-notch medical technicians can resolve any issue a veteran has.
Oh, wait.
Shin
Are you
splints,
sharing me yet?
Yeah, you're shared.
Sorry. Okay.
Blood pressure, PTSD, cancer, even building you a wheelchair ramp can all be fixed with MAID. Medical assistance in dying. Allow us to offer you suicide. MAID, because you killing yourself is a statistic, while us killing you is customer service. At the VAC, we believe in inclusivity, so we don't call any of our veterans dead or dying. We prefer trans life. Your issues don't have to be combat related. Here at the VAC, we see all veterans as future open parking spots. Call up your VAC representative to find out more about medical assistance in dying today. If a serious issue outside of MAID exists, please contact your local VAC representatives, and we'll get back to you at our earliest convenience. Because at the VAC, you're always wasting our time. We may not be able to build you a fucking wheelchair ramp in 5 years, but we can roll you off a cliff and into the afterlife within a few months. Do you have ringing in the ears, a heartbeat, and other life-related issues? The VAC can help. Hurrying enlisted to leave the planet. If you need help, the VA should be your first call. If you're plagued by things like emotions, feelings, or a heartbeat, the VAC can help. Oh, my cancer hurts. Shut the fuck up! Who let this motherfucker speak? Oh, it's always the white ones. Always the white ones that are complaining. Give me the fucking anesthesia. He's going out. VAC is sponsored by End It All. End It All. Right now. Hurry up. Do it. End it all. Side effects may include not breathing, seeing, hearing, walking, talking, carrying, pooping, eating, or going towards the light. If life symptoms persist, a second dose may be necessary. Ask the VAC if MAID is right for you. Doctor, come quick! What is it, nurse? The man in room 315, he's breathing! For Christ's sakes, he's a veteran! Quick, somebody kill him! Ah!
At Angry Cops, he's a pretty hilarious YouTuber. You should check him out.
Terrible.
He makes a lot of stuff about the military and that cop mainly the military. He was a drill instructor. Might still be a drill instructor. I don't know, but funny guy. Not a funny subject and not a funny thing.
No,
they're
I
actually
don't think
doing that
it's
in
funny.
Canada.
Yeah.
And you people should. I want. It's like I want to say what I believe and I can't because I would go to jail. That's the truth. I know.
I know.
I don't think the system can be fixed with the system because the system's broken, and we've let it get so bad. And you've let it get so bad in Canada. You let it get so bad in Europe, but you can say Britain, and any people are so stupid and so easily controlled, and the ones that aren't, they're listening to little YouTubers like us. They're people in our chat. It's such a minority now. I don't think Trump is going to take the Speaker of the House.
Maybe not, but it would be cool.
It would be cool. And the things that you think are happening.
Because I don't know that I want to see him, because I'm really torn on it. I've been saying, I don't want him to come back because I think that takes it away from the people understanding that we have to be responsible for ourselves and stop looking to to fix it for us.
We are not.
And so as long as we keep asking them to fix it for us, the people that we keep asking permission to live our lives, then we're never going to be free. And so it's almost like just let them screw it up. Let the most evil person get in.
I don't think so anymore.
So that people
Lisa,
will stand up.
The people are so smart. They are very smart. And we don't see the genius that they are until it's too late.
That's why they put the people like the Antichrist will be the smooth talker. Yeah.
But I mean, they took control of higher learning. They took control of these other things that were like 20-year plans, 15-year plans. So at the time, it was just with it, we look at them and say, "Oh, that's just silly. That's goofy," and then you can see the fruits of it decades later. We do. I used to kind of agree with you. I didn't want someone to come back, or you could say Trump or whoever. But people, you can't call people sheeple and then expect them to be guard dogs. They're not. They are sheeple. That's a whole
believe
generation.
there is a portion
Whether
that are and will always
portion,
be followers.
Not a portion. There's not a portion. They are the majority, and we are with them. We're just badass sheep. You can look at it that way, but we are not in control. We are not the majority. We don't have millions and millions.
But we're not a democracy. We don't need to be the majority.
Well, that's where you need a leader, because no one is saying things. No one is speaking up. And whenever somebody does, whenever someone starts to push a certain narrative that is just about responsibility, standing up for yourself, standing up against evil.
You get
Tommy Robinson. Maybe he said racist things. I don't really know a lot, but his main thing was, hey, man, you have to stand up against rape gangs. You have to stand up against people that do violence against your community. You have to go and do violence to them. They shut him up, put him in jail. Andrew Tate. Nobody even believes these are real charges. Nobody.
No, he was not handcuffed.
All these people are coming out.
His arrest, if you watch it, I've retweeted it. He walks out. He's holding his hands together, and there's all these film crew people around him, a normal amount of film crew and lighting. Then he gets in the car, and he immediately does one of these Illuminati sign things to the camera.
He was fixing things. He was pushing the narrative that men need to fix themselves, that people need to take control of their lives, that all the evil in the world is evil. He said one of the most brilliant things I've ever heard in my life.
Someone said, what's the arrest? Just to get attention?
No. The arrest is an arrest.
Why would
no, it's not fake.
Yes, it's not fake. He was not handcuffed.
Yeah.
It was tons of cameras.
How can you say we live in a movie and then say, oh, it looks like a movie, it's not real? How can you say that?
What do you mean?
How can you say we live in a movie, everything is a movie, everything is staged, and then say, oh, that looks like a movie, it's not real? It's real. He didn't want to play that part. The movie was set up. The stage was set. They just plucked him up and forced him into the role. He was arrested, but it was all set up. It was all made. It is made to get maximum exposure. It's perfectly set up. The U.S. consulate was involved in calling the police and having everything set up in one of the most crooked countries in the world. It's Romania.
But no charges. He's just being detained.
It's where Vladimir, Dracula's from. It's a pretty famous for being a bad place. But he said in interviews, look, they tried to cancel me. And the thing that I'm worried about most is you have 3 lives when you're doing this. He said, first they try to cancel you and they take you off all your platforms. If they can't beat you that way, you come back, but you come back and you still are growing, then they put you in jail for a trumped up charge, or they make something up. And if you can beat that and you still come back, then they kill you. And I'm really, really upset that I have that first life, because they deplatformed me. They took me off everything. It was obviously a concerted effort. Within 24 hours, it was Twitter, it was YouTube, it was everything. He came back. The charges were false. Everything.
That sounds like a video game.
He got reinstated. He got reinstated on everything, and then he blew up even bigger. I didn't know who he was. I thought I was a misogynist. Well, yeah. Then I started listening to his stuff that he said, and he's just arrogant. That's it. He's Trump.
That's why I just think it's to get attention.
It is not. If the U.S. consulate doesn't try to have you arrested for you to get attention for your social media, he is.
Where do you have proof that the U.S. consulate's involved?
They admitted to it. They're the ones.
Oh, I didn't hear that.
Yeah, I told you to research it. I told you this dude is a big.
I don't have time for that.
That's a big,
and I don't want to give him a bunch of my attention, because I don't I don't want to put my energy in that. There's so much to look at right now.
Well, see,
and
see,
I don't trust
the stuff
him.
that you look at, like you were talking about Melania's wearing silver, and that's a message.
Yeah.
I think people are too stupid to look at those kind of. No one gets that. No one is seeing that. He had in the palm of his hand. He could have done it if he was as evil and terrible as everyone says. On January of that day, he could have said, "You know what? They're all crooked. Everything's wrong. Let's go. We're taking the country back." I've been going over a lot of stuff with Washington, and when we supposedly took the country from the British, and it just took leaders and it took people putting their neck on the line and saying, "Hey, man, if you don't come through and we don't win, I'm dead. I'm dead. My family's probably need to be dead, but it has to be done." And the crazy things that happened, the weird weather stuff, just it's so obvious that evil did not want this country to happen. And it's in so many cases, just the perseverance and prayer and people pushing through, and miraculous things always happened. Just
And that's
weird,
what was happening that day.
weird miraculous things happened.
Yeah.
But if he just would have, if he would have just been, I think we need a leader for that kind of time. For, like Phil said in the chat, kinetic. It's time for people to do stuff instead of posting memes, instead of going on shows, instead of talking about it, to actually do something. If you don't think that you can't fix that election in the court. You can't. They won't let it happen. The system won't let you fix anything anymore because the system is completely broken.
I mailed my letters for Brunson Adam to the Supreme Court, and I'm going to do everything I can to take action.
Supreme Court is all that's left holding this country together. That's it. If once
then
they go
what was the saying that you said? Sherlock Holmes said, "Then let's take everything else away."
Yes,
and
I do.
Be left with what the truth is.
I think you got to
that's
get
what
rid
we
of
need to do. Then let's get rid of everything else.
You know, when the FBI wanted to get started, there was no other three-letter agency, just the FBI. It was like, no, the founding fathers did not want a national police force. We don't need to have this. It is not.
All of those things are charters. They're not part of our Constitution.
But the thing, people in the rewriting of history, even like our local history and things now, they're doing it so fast with like Google, and they're able to change the way you can search stuff. And by the way, do you know about the new project? Even in the chat, if you guys know what it is, the project, I forget, but the Google owns it, and they're going to fix the search system, and it's in the name of disinformation. But I'll look it up in a second. But
in the name of disinformation.
But if you look at how history is rewritten, I lost my train of thought on that. What was I just talking about?
We were talking about getting rid of everything else, only keeping the
right FBI. So
Supreme
the
Court,
FBI, when they wanted to get started, everyone's against. People were against it because it was a national police force. The founding fathers said we do not ever want a national police force. States' rights. States do whatever. Once the federal government has its own police force that it can use against the people, you'll have crazy things like that you couldn't imagine, like something. Let's say something ridiculous, like you go to a school board meeting and you say, "Hey, I don't like this," and then the federal police will go after you and say you're a terrorist. Something crazy like that.
Yeah,
this is what the founding fathers said to not have. But what people don't talk about, people don't know, is that we had, because you have to have jurisdiction and police that can go investigate things. We had it. The amount of power that private investigators had was crazy.
You've talked about this before.
Private investigators, and there was much more of them. But the role of the government is and should only be to protect people. That's it, to protect their rights and to protect people. So they're the ones, only thing that they did was issue those licenses. And then with that amount of power for a private police that you could own and use, for and which like police departments could use for going outside of their jurisdiction and all. But that was all heavily regulated, and they were watched by the government. So there's no way the government could make
That's where
money or get
Congress is
power.
not doing their job, because this is the same thing that's happened with the SEC. The SEC was supposed to protect the individuals, the little guy, protect the individuals in the secondary markets, the token holders, let's say.
That's the only
But
thing government should
instead,
do.
they're swatting innovation, stifling innovation, and not protecting. SBF destroyed many individuals, but Gary was meeting with them.
Tom, that's a really big thing when you're talking about rewriting history. If you ask people how many buildings fell in New York, everyone says 2, and they were there. If you ask people that are like over 40, they were all glued to the TV. They know, and nobody knows about 3. And then you start talking about the 3rd building, and you can see it in their eyes. They're like, I remember something. And then if you try to look up stuff on the internet, it's all gone. There's not much. There's a 60-minute special, and then when people see the video, then it clicks, and you can see the fear in their eyes when you ask them, hey man, this is one of the biggest things, you're watching this has happened, why don't you remember that? You can see it all comes. They're like, oh my god. You can say, he for the past,
that's why they're keeping Assange,
but like and I always say this, the extremists are always right. It never fails. Anyone that says, hey man, if you give them an inch, they're going to take a mile. Eventually people are going to try to take the mile, whatever it is. And I don't know why people don't just admit that. And whenever you do something that is revolutionary or crazy, you don't put a caveat in there. When gay marriage, everyone's like, hey, if you pass this, people are going to want to marry kids, and they're going to want to marry their dog, and they're going to want to marry their car. It's like, you're so silly. That's crazy. And guess what's happening? People want to marry kids. People want to marry inanimate objects. People want to marry animals and pets, or just animals because they're really weird. But so it always happens. When they pass the Patriot Act, this is a temporary thing. Anything is a temporary thing. Yes, this goes against what we don't want to do this. Yes, this goes against the Constitution a little. Yes, this is wrong a little, but it's necessary and it's temporary. Okay, pass it. But then why not put something in that bill that says this is temporary? If we try to extend it or we try to renew it, we can't do that if everyone in this Congress is still here that voted on it. It's temporary. So when they renew the Patriot Act years and years and years later, there's people in Congress for 10, 20, 30, 40 years. Those people can't be here. If it's temporary, then if it comes time to renew it, no one should be in Congress.
Yeah, taxes were supposed to be temporary after World War II.
Can you imagine if they would have put it? That just would have been the norm. Hey, this is temporary. If we want to keep this or renew it, then we can't if we're all still here.
If we're all still here.
We are making that promise to you, the American people, because it's temporary, right? It's temporary. Yeah. We promise it's temporary. I'll put my name on the line. Yeah. That if I'm still here, I can't vote on it. I'll have to quit. I'll have to resign Congress in order for them to keep this and to keep it for it to go through. Can you imagine if the Patriot Act came up to renew, and literally like a third of Congress had to say, "Okay, I resign"? Not going to happen. That's the kind of legislation we need. That's just common sense, man.
That's a great idea. Yeah. That's a solution, though. See, those are the kinds of things
that's what you have to.
Those solutions. Those are the ideas that we need to be meeting again, in town, in pubs, in wherever we can get together.
The only way you're going to get stuff like that through, though, Lisa, is if you tear it all down and rebuild it. It's a scam. I have been in Congress for 40 years, and I go and say, we need term limits, and I want term limits, and resign.
I got into it with a guy on Twitter yesterday, day before, because Oklahoma, is passing, or Nathan Dam is a representative who's passing a bill or working on a bill, and if it passes, the Oklahomans will be able to vote for sovereignty as a state this year. And then this guy said in Texas that you guys are way ahead of it, that you're already doing that, and that it's way ahead of
Idaho
us.
is way further.
Okay.
New
He said
Hampshire.
he
New
sent me a
Hampshire,
document. I'll send you the link.
just
But he,
just the fact that you don't know that, the fact that people don't know that, and the people in those states. My friend lives in Oregon, and Oregon, they're trying to those are the counties that are trying to secede and become part of
the
Idaho.
counties are okay.
Right, they're trying to
So
secede.
you
and
can
become
do
part
it
of
by
county.
county or
Yes.
by state. Okay.
But he's like, what are you talking about? Everybody knows about it. It's like this huge thing. Dude, we're trying to leave the state. I was like, dude, no one in our own country knows that that's happening. I said, it's on your local news, isn't it? He was like, well, yeah, it is. I said, nobody knows it's happening. It's a huge movement. It's called the Greater Idaho Movement, because they want to become, because they don't like Portland, like California. Most of Northern California hates the policies. It's obvious what they're doing. If they could split the state, they probably would.
It may end up getting split. I
Look
could
at what
see
they've done
something
in Texas,
like that.
though. I sent you that thing about Texas.
Yeah.
A divorced father is fighting to keep his kid from getting medically castrated, like a 10-year-old or something, and the Texas court ruled against him. You can't stop it. That's Texas, man. If that's happening in Texas, then there's no. And
It's so wrong.
The hypocrisy is so insane. To say, kids can't do this, they're just kids. Kids can't do this, they're just kids. Oh, but they can make that decision.
Yeah, I think they even used in the Texas thing, I think they used the term divorce, or it's like Texit, and it was like divorce the nation or divorce the Fed or something like that. Have you heard that?
No, I have not.
Okay.
But like
I'll
I am for I
find it.
am. This is it. There's no solution through DC. A apolitical solution is impossible. It's all, but there's just evil, dude. There's just so much evil. Oh, there was talking about Andrew Tate. The most brilliant thing I heard. Someone asked him, why do you believe in God, or how do you believe in God? And he said, I never believed in God. But how do you not believe in God if you see all the evil? He said, seeing all the evil made me believe that there has to be a God, because there's so much evil. So if there's one, there has to be the other. And I remember being a young metalhead, and this was watching an interview with Ronnie James Dio, and he was talking about oh, God's not real, and that whole thing's stupid and crazy, and everyone's like, yeah. And then they said something about magic and the devil, and he was like, oh, that's real. I've done magic. I know the devil. That's like, we all know now, like most all that 80s stuff was all just theater. But I remember being like a 12-year-old, being like, wait a minute, how do you say one thing's real but the other isn't? That doesn't make sense. It's stupid. If it is real, then why would you want to side with the obviously losing side? That doesn't make sense. But that's what Tate said. He said, oh, I believe in God because I can see all the evil. He said that's what made me believe in it. And there's so many young.
Well, even Satan believes in God.
Yeah.
Saying you believe in God doesn't mean you're a follower of
That's
Christ.
a really weird thing that I asked Ted about is, Satan was an angel, beautiful angel, in charge of he was in charge of music in heaven and literally praising God. That was his job. But he was a beautiful angel, and all these other angels were, well, the majority of certain angels. There's some angels that are freaks, which really tends to be more on the alien side, I think, about angels. But angels were, especially Lucifer, he was a very beautiful angel. And then now in our mythology, he's this like horned, gross, goat man, and all other demons are like scary, horned, horrible looking things. Baphomet, Baal and all them. But these were archangels, and there's archdemons, and they're horrific looking. But in Satanism, they don't have them as beautiful angels, which I would think, if it's your religion, you're going to want to show them as what, Satan is this beautiful angel looking guy. He's not a what.
Maybe that's like a Pepe thing. Like they want to be anti-Earth's idea of beauty or something.
I don't know, but they show, the statues of Satanism. They're all the horn, creepy looking. It's all. So it's like like we all accept that's what they are. But I don't know. It's something I was wondering about, and it like made me think. It was a weird thing.
That was strange, for sure. I've been watching some videos of this guy, and he has terrible hair, and he's very obnoxious, but he's really knowledgeable. And Robin something, he's like an evangelist guy, and he's a prophet, and he's a biblical scholar. He's really, really intelligent, and he's talking about like the times that we're in now. And I've watched a couple of his videos, and they're like dead on. And he talks about stuff like, and people are like, oh, I know he's thinking, you can't talk about that in church. And he's like, ladies and gentlemen, I'm saying it in church. I'm talking about, anal sex or what. I mean, he says like horrible things, but that's the reality of like, where we are in the world right now. And he talks about the biblical times that we're in. And I don't know, he may have some answers for you on that.
I thought it was very
Robin
interesting.
Something. I'll send you his link too. I can't remember his last name. His wife's name is Robin too. Robin and Robin. Like Pat and Pat from
Pat and Pat. Yeah.
Saturday Night Live.
Let me see. I want to find that thing about the Google thing, which.
Oh, the new search to protect us from disinformation.
Yeah,
they're just all about protecting us, aren't they?
It's a company that they own. Who's the owner of the Epic Times? Do you know?
I don't know.
It's Roman something. It's his channel. He did it. Oh, let me see if it's suggested channels. No, they don't have suggested channels on the Epic Times. Why are you doing that, man?
Yes, I am. Divorce and secession from DC is the first step. He says, unfortunately, they won't allow it, which is wrong. We have the right to choose who governs us. The thing is, in Oklahoma, it's a no-fault state for divorce. So it doesn't matter whether they allow it or not. You don't get to say, you can't divorce me. You just get to leave. Thank God.
Yeah. Texas has been talking about Facts Matter with Roman Balmakov. Here we go. I got it.
You found the Google search thing?
Yes, it's called Project Jigsaw. Where are you at?
Carving out the truth.
There we go. Private chat. I'll send it to you. You can share it.
Okay.
There you go.
Copy.
Please crush the like button, y'all. And yeah, I think that is the one thing that will start it. When any state actually does secede, even if it doesn't happen, if it's talked about in the news, if it's brought up, because that's something that they can't cover, they can't ignore. If things are so bad, well, they still could. They could just say that one state is crazy, the people there are crazy, they're all whatever wing you want to, complain about. But if more than one, if one does it, they're going to have to talk about all the other ones that have a movement, and then you can't ignore that. You can't ignore that that fire.
Uncle Cliff had a great Substack today, and kind of said we're at that tipping point of Vox Populi, of people waking up and seeing the ridiculousness, and that for everybody to stay calm, but that we're at that tipping point.
What if we made DC secede? What if we said you're not a state?
Ooh, I like it.
You can't legally have anything to do with us. Anything there, it's not even part of our country. Where you're like, we just let Puerto Rico go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're your own country again.
There's a vote for them to become
a state. Yeah.
Their own. Yeah.
I wonder if that's
all that is happening right now, like you said, but it's quietly happening.
No, but that's the opposite, though. They want to become a state so that they will get represented. They're the most liberal place there is. None of the most controlled. That's the worst thing they can do is become a state, because that'll tip the power. It's like stacking the court.
It would give the people the power, and then they could get rid of like all the corrupt corporations that are based out of there and all that kind of stuff.
They would have
like wouldn't that be returning the power to the people?
They would get representation and authority in the government, which DC doesn't have, because it's a cesspool. It's like Sodom and Gomorrah. It's terrible. Okay, play the thing. Here we go.
Okay, you ready? Make sure I've got the volume up.
This right here is known as Operation Jigsaw. You see, the brilliant engineers over at Google have come up with a new plan. It's a plan couched in the idea, as these plans always seem to be, of keeping us safe from misinformation and from harmful language. And the way to do that, obviously, is to control ever more what you and me are able to see and to say online. What you're looking at right now on your screen is the homepage for a new Google initiative called the Info Intervention. Their official website bills this new initiative as a, quote, set of approaches informed by behavioral science research and validated by digital experiments to build resilience to online harms. Now, if the term behavioral science research makes you think about Pavlov and his experiments on dogs, well, that's actually a pretty good analogy, because this new initiative, it has Google essentially using the very same techniques, the very same methodologies on you and me, meaning the users, that Pavlov used on his dogs. However, while Pavlov was trying to make his dogs salivate, Google is trying to make you question anything that goes against what the fact checkers have deemed to be misinformation. Regardless, though, getting back to the actual nuts and bolts of this new initiative, this Info Intervention initiative, well, it's actually being led by one of Google's subsidiary companies. It's a company by the name of Jigsaw. And as you can see from their website, Jigsaw is a complete subsidiary of Google. They are under complete Google management. And according to their mission statement, their mission is to, quote, apply technological solutions from countering extremism, online censorship, and cyber attacks to protecting access to information. Now, that all sounds very benign. Who wouldn't want to protect the general population from cyber attacks and from extremism? However, like most things, well, the devil is in the details. Because you see, citing this research paper right here that was published over in Nature magazine, a paper, by the way, which claimed that shifting people's attention to accuracy can reduce the spread of misinformation online, well, Jigsaw actually partnered together with the authors of that research paper to create the Info Intervention Initiative. And in terms of what this initiative will actually do, well, in March of last year, Jigsaw published an article in which they did a recap of their online social experiments and concluded by writing this, quote, the biggest form of misinformation is not smashing that like button below this video. Now, I am, of course, just joking about that. However, it is true that by smashing those like and subscribe buttons, you are in fact helping this video to spread to ever more people here on this platform, and are therefore indeed fighting misinformation. Regardless, though, here's what Jigsaw actually wrote in the conclusion of their article. Quote, gently reminding internet users to stop and think about accuracy is a great first step, but there is no silver bullet to counter online misinformation. For this reason, we are exploring a range of approaches, including how to inoculate people against misinformation by building core information literacy competencies. And of course, their use of the word inoculate in that statement is likely creepy. Not an accident, as they were drawing a direct parallel by saying essentially that they are the vaccine to misinformation. But within this article, it didn't actually state any concrete steps that they were going to take. It was all very conceptual. However, we fast forward a few months from when this article was first published, and it's become a lot more clear about what is included in the range of approaches that they are going to use to combat misinformation. The 4 methods that Google's Operation Jigsaw will be using to curb supposed misinformation are the following: accuracy prompts, redirect methods, authorship feedback, as well as something that they call pre-bunking as opposed to debunking. These are the 4 new methods that we can look forward to in the coming year. And so let's go through them together one by one.
You can stop.
The first method, Operation Jigsaw.
I'll leave a link below so you guys can check that out.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's pretty scary. And when they talk about extremism, that's the thing. That's the thing that caught me to battle extremism. But what is extremism? Literally, like I brought up earlier, parents who went to school board meetings and said, I don't like what you're doing. This is terrible, illegal, I think, in some things, some circumstances. You need to stop it for my kids. No violence, nothing. Just doing that and being, making their voices heard. They were labeled as extremists and extremism and were looked at by the FBI. That's the label of extremism. So once you have that label, if there's a something in place to battle that, then that's what will be quelled. That speech will be quelled. That is what will be attacked. So if you leave it open to these entities to label something and for them to decide what constitutes extremism, and then also give them the authority to battle extremism. I could hate my neighbor and I'm supposed to battle rats. And I say, I think my neighbor might be part rat, have some kind of rat DNA. We should eradicate him. It's giving, there's no checks and balances anymore, which is kind of what it has led to all of our problems. That's why our government and our country was set up on checks and balances. And there's only
and measures.
There's one check and balance left, and that's the Supreme Court. And that's and we can't exist with it because I've talked about how the government can now do whatever they want, and they'll get away with it for 6 months or so, and then it goes to the Supreme Court and like, hey, you can't do that. We're stopping that. And then like, okay, sure. We've been doing it for 6 months. It's kind of.
But they've already been doing it for 6 months.
We didn't get 100% done. We got about 80% done, so we don't care.
Mm-hmm.
The thing with the mandates, obvious. I sent you that thing about Australia. Australia is implementing a social credit score for people to use the internet. Right now, you guys in the chat, you watching the video. Imagine if you couldn't get an alternative information.
Yeah, if you're in Australia, can you please validate that for us? Because I'm getting mixed messages from people. Like some of them say, oh, it's just hype, smoke and mirrors. Some of them are like, no, it's really this bad here.
But I have friends in Australia that have told me the whole time, oh man, it's not really happening. Nah, the whole thing. I'm like, dude, there's a video.
So you're getting mixed messages too?
No. I'm talking about stuff that we know is true. Like the police are beating this old lady. It's like, yeah, but it's not really. That's just the media watch. I was like, dude, it's right there. They're like, well, that's Sydney. It's different everywhere else. I'm like, but it's your country. But you know what? We do the same thing. People are like, hey, man, your country is fucked up. Look at this. I'm like, yeah, but that's San Francisco, man. Oh, but you look at this law. Yeah, but that's New York, man. We do it too, and it's our country. We can rationalize it just like they rationalize it. So even asking people in the country if they're like, oh, it's not that bad. It's not. Well, is it real though? I mean, kind of. That's it. That's all you can get from people anymore. If they say, yeah, it's kind of real. Yeah, but that's it. It's real. Because we don't believe it. I like I said last week, I'm a piece of shit. I'm a piece of shit. And I have been part of all the evil my government's done because I didn't stop it. And that's it. And we're all going to rationalize it. Oh, it's just California. Oh, it's just, that's just San Francisco, LA, the homeless there. Well, it's not as bad everywhere else. Oh, well, Chicago, there's a lot of gun violence and violence there, but, it's just Chicago. No, it's my country, man. It's messed up, dude. And we're talking about things that I think we have to do now. We have to separate. I think we do have to kind of have a divorce.
Yeah.
And then regroup. And if we regroup in more than one country, if we group in, I mean, if if certain states become part of Canada, if we do that, thing that you were talking about, the greater American thing, okay.
USMCA.
USMCA,
What is Greg talks about, and I think we're going to do an episode on it on World Blockchain Roundtable coming up on
Mega Texas.
Mega Texas. Yeah.
Imagine
I'd be
this.
down for some Mega
Imagine this.
Texas.
Imagine if we went to war with Mexico, which I'm
Why
thinking,
would we go to war with Mexico?
because Mexico
I think
is
we would be friends with Mexico.
Mexico's pretty corrupt. Mexico's pretty messed up, and
I believe there's corruption in Mexico. I don't believe
that's the thing. That's rationalization, dude. That's rationalizing. If it's there, it is. It's like, this is not chocolate milk. I mean, there's chocolate in the milk, but it's not chocolate milk. It's chocolate milk. I think, and I just thought about it when we're talking about, states seceding. In my mind, I thought like Texas and some of us can become part of Mexico. And then I was like, no way. That would not. But can you imagine if they became part of Texas, and like those counties in Oregon wanting to become part of Idaho? I know there's states in Mexico that would want to become part of Texas, New Mexico.
That would say, we'll follow your
where we want
laws.
to become,
we want to contribute. We want to.
The Mexican government would not want that, because
they want
that. So that would take war, unless they would allow them to secede. But that would be amazing. The silver
would be interesting.
The silver, the land, all that, the resources would be awesome.
Yeah.
But then they would give up the tourism. And then what would happen? I think we could win in a war. Texas, New Mexico, and like Arizona, we could win. Without nuclear stuff or anything, just actual fighting.
Actually, in the Oklahoma bill, we have shit tons of money left over from the Great Infection, and in the bill that Nathan Dam put in, it says to send our National Guard to help fight with Texas to fight the border thing. So what if that is part of the plan?
That would be awesome. I mean, if we
could be used in that way.
Imagine if the South seceded, but also took on Mexico,
but gained Mexico,
like Mexico, or even a quarter of Mexico.
Yeah,
and then
I'm down for that.
But then actually declared war on the cartels, and then
I'm down for that.
Really went after it, cleaned the government up. And
Chavez was just right before all this started. Chavez was picked up, who was like the biggest cartel leader in Mexico.
And then Mexico, there would be states with like
that.
Texas, New Mexico, Florida, Louisiana,
mm-hmm.
and then like 3 or 4
like
states,
nation states.
Yeah, there were states, just regular states, and we would become like the the Lord United States. Or what if we just were the United States? We just called ourselves the United States, just to piss off everyone else. Now we're the United States. It'd be like Bitcoin Cash versus Bitcoin.
Yeah, no, we're the real United States.
We're the real vision of the founders.
Yeah. We even keep the flag.
Yeah.
Make sure there's 50 states.
Yeah, we're United States FV, the founders' vision. That would be awesome.
I love it. All right, I'm gonna head out. You guys, thank you so much for all the comments in the chat. You guys have got some great thoughts about how it could go. I love IEM's comments, and Phil and Tom.
I am starting a channel too.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Oh, I would love to watch that.
Yep.
He's really brilliant. We'll have to get him to come on and promote his channel. That would be fun.
Yeah, there's we talk about, before you go, because there's something that you brought up to me a lot, is the all the missing kids, missing people. It's obvious there's some kind of there's so many that it can't be random. It has to be structured within somehow within the government there's something covering it up. It can't be that many people. And when you were talking about the Indian nations, the amount that are missing is like insane.
Women and children.
Yeah. So, and that's something that's, sorry to say, it's so low.
That goes unreported.
On the totem pole of things that need to be fixed. Like, we've allowed things to get so bad that we're talking about disbanding like the FBI and CIA and all that. I mean, looking for missing, it's like way so low that we've allowed so much to go so bad. But I think it's what we got to do. We have to tear it down and then rebuild it correctly and then fix and right. We'll be righting wrongs for probably a decade and exposing stuff. And we gotta.
Well, if it took 100 years to get here, we can work on it for 100 years to make it better. Like we can never stop.
Go 10.
You know
let's
what
go
I mean?
1. Let's go 10 to 1.
We can start with 10, but we can keep. I'll never stop.
I think if we fix it, though, we could fix it within 2 years. If we really, if we were able,
Mr. Hopium.
If we tore it down, and it would be really rough. It'd be like the rapture. I mean, it's gonna suck for 7 years, and then it's gonna be good. It would be. We're gonna have a really bad couple months.
Yeah.
But then I think if we have transparency like we're supposed to, and the people are in control of the power and the government, I think we could do like we did. We already did it. We did amazing things. We ended freaking slavery. We ended religious persecution. We destroyed piracy. We fixed so many ills in the first 100 years of our nation that it was mind-boggling. This was a grand experiment that was super successful. And over the last 100 years, they've done nothing but destroy and make it like every other country and every other place. But we did a lot of amazing things in a crazy fast amount of time. But okay.
Let's
Love
do
you
it
guys.
again. All right.
Love
Love to you all.
Thanks for being here.
Please go watch the first half if you missed it over on my channel,
Yes.
and
Crush the
leave
like
a
button.
comment below and crush the like button. Like Epic Times guy said, bust up those algorithms. Take care.
Yeah, I'm gonna look for a funny video.
McAfee for me today.
That doesn't matter because you don't have any choice. You are provided two candidates, both of them equally as compulsive, greedy, and corrupt as the other. Does it matter? No, we have to solve one problem first. Our government lies to us constantly. We get nothing but disinformation filtered from the CIA, the FBI, the NSA, all 17 or all 14 covert government agencies, prettily packaged by politicians into some pablum that they expect us to buy, eat, and believe. And most of us do. We need, and by the way, that same government, which keeps all of its secrets from us, spies on us, its citizens, constantly. Do you realize that is the sign of an insane government? When it looks to its own citizens as the threat to their existence. And we fucking should be. They work for us. Do you understand this? They are our fucking servants. When is the last time you have been served by one of your servants? I bet you never have.
In a while.
It's gone insane. It has got to stop. We have to get truth from our government. And it's got to stop spying on us before we can do anything else.